Here we are. This is Plug with Mahli and Joe, the mental warriors, along with my brother Zakaria. Welcome to another week. I don't know which week we in. We lost count now, right? I guess we might have lost count. Oh man, we always jump right into what's coming on tonight's show. Putting your heart into the hustle. That is what we're going to talk about. Each one of us is going to speak to what it means to be in this hustle that we're in, whatever hustle they got going on. We're going to speak to it today. All right. We always have our segment, Making Our Ancestors Proud. Of course, we're sponsored by baller.org. Also, we're going to do our current events. We're going to talk about what's going on around the world, see what's happening, and, see what our views is. Of course, we got my brother, Joe. My brother, Joe. Yes, Joe. My brother, how are you today?
Listen, another day, another struggle, another chance to tell your story.
And then none other than my light-skinned brother down there, Zakaria. How you feeling today, brother?
All right, excellent. Better than yesterday, not as good as tomorrow.
Hey, listen, tomorrow ain't promised to us, so we can only live for the now, right?
Yeah. That's right.
All right, man. Listen, that's what we do here, man. It's the mental warriors. We try to make you think. We try to get you to grow within yourself and all that other stuff. Plug out of the system and plug into your own consciousness to say, okay, you know what? This is what I need to do. This is how I need to go about change within me. You know what I mean? And and it always starts here. It starts in the mind. You know what I'm saying? The platforms we on, Joe. You want to give the duties on the platforms we on?
I could do that. We are on Amazon Music, Pandora, Stitcher, Podchaser, TuneIn, Reasons Podcast, Google's Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Anchor.fm, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Mixcloud, iTunes Podcast, TheEveningRushNetwork.com, and also download the Evening Rush Network app, available on both iOS and Android.
Yo, I want to give a shout out to the Evening Rush Network and all they do to keep the content going. You know what I mean? Shout out to Sean Don and them over in the crew that's, in the background. Shout out to our producer extraordinaire, Jada John, someone who's part of all kinds of things going on in the community and listen, soon to be in the world. You know what I mean? We got a lot of things coming up within our program and such, But listen, straight up and down. How was your week? Like, how was your week since, oh, matter of fact, what's good news is that I heard that we got like little 1.6 views, 1.6 thousand views since last week of our last week's show, which is kind of cool, you know what I mean?
On YouTube alone.
Which is kind of cool. We're kind of humble about these type of things, you know what I'm saying? And I think I don't know what is there to be humble about when we're trying to really help our people. So I guess we need to get out there a little bit
by those stats.
Huh?
We're humbled by the stats.
Right, humbled by the stats. Yeah. And like Zakaria said, man, listen, we could do more. Let's do more and do better, right?
For sure.
Joe, give me a recap of your week, man.
Very productive, a lot of hard work. My business is officially a DOE vendor, so that's always good news, and just been promoting and making things happen. Looking forward to the spring and the summer. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So just
Zakaria, how was give me a recap of your week, brother?
Just had a second meeting for project I'm working on, getting people together. Having all the team members meet each other, things are slowly falling into place. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty huge endeavor, so it takes people and a lot of hard work that's going to go into this.
Well, my week was about a matter of preparation because we're preparing for some big things that's about to happen, big announcements coming up this weekend in regards to Baller, the program, the marching band, and such. So the week has been about preparation and then maintaining also, because maintaining is the key, and stepping up, you know what I'm saying? Stepping up. So all of these things is, like I said, putting your heart into the hustle. So that's basically what we're going to talk about later about our weeks, you know what I mean? And, cumulatively, you understand what I'm saying? So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our next segment, which we all love, you know what I mean? Because it sheds light to those who's putting in that work. You know what I mean? And out here, and they deserve their flowers and all that other good stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So who's making our ancestors proud? You know what I mean? Who's out here doing it up, still out here that should be given the flowers as they're here living. All right. So first up, the bat, of course, always as always. You know what I mean? He set it off. He set the tone. You know what I mean? He get us going. All right. My
I
main
walk up to the
man.
bat. I
Yeah.
walk up the bat. That's why I'm swinging like that.
I see you. I see you. My main
Well,
man, Joe. Go ahead.
well,
Talk to me.
one of the gentlemen that I'm paying, that are making our ancestors proud, someone who doesn't really get a lot of recognition, but has been out there forever. And when you tend to have a legacy as much as this guy has, you tend to forget about it until he's brought up and go, "Oh yeah, he's still around doing things."
Right.
So I'm talking about the cool, suave Billy D. Williams.
Wow. All right.
Billy D. Williams. He just turned 85 years old yesterday.
Wow.
So happy birthday, belated birthday to him. And he's
Happy
still
birthday.
around. You know, he's an actor who's been around since the 70s and the 80s. He's been in so many, I guess you could say, culture. He was Lando Calrissian in the Star
Yeah.
Wars franchise. So if I'm not mistaken, he was the first black character that was shown on screen in Star Wars.
Okay.
If I'm not, other than James Earl Jones, we know he was Darth Vader, but Lando
See,
Calrissian.
we ain't see James Earl Jones.
Right. So Billy D. Williams was the first one that was in Star Wars. He was also in one of my favorite movies of all time called Lady Sings the Blues, which is about the story of Billie Holiday, who Diana Ross played, and he played such a great role with
Yes.
playing Lady Sings the Blues. He won. He got a lot of popular acclaim for that movie, and Mahogany, which also starred Diana Ross. And like I said, he was born in New York City, the son of an elevator operator at the Lakeham Theater. He attended Booker T. Washington Junior High School with the dreams of being a painter. He graduated from LaGuardia High School of Music, Art, and Performing Arts, which is like the school to go into, which was the school that was the subject of fame. While he was there, he got a 2-year scholarship for the National Academy of Fine Arts and Design in New York, which later changed his name to the National Academy of Design. So Billy D. Williams has been on the scene 85 years. He's still on the scene. And he has a legacy that is still there, that hasn't been tainted. And Billy D is continuing to show those who are trying to be as long and legitimate as he is that it's possible. So congrats to Billy D. Williams. Continue your legacy, man.
Yes, sir. Congrats. Yo, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch it up, right? Because I'm gonna throw a little curveball, and because Zakaria, likes this segment a lot, I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna go second. How about that? I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna go second, and I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna let you clean it up, Zakaria. How about that?
Okay.
That sounds better. That way, you ain't got no pressure and leave me no time. All right. So, curveball. It's me. I'm going up. And mine's it's going to be short, sweet, to the point. It's my main man, Kevin Hart, man. Listen, the reason why I got to give this man his flowers, man, and it's not even a bunch of things I have to read. I mean, he's an American stand-up comedian, an actor, born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As an amateur, he was winning mad competitions all over the place. Known for movies like Paper Soldier, Scary Movie 3, Soul Plane, The Mix, and those are his early movies, and those are the ones where it was like, okay, maybe, I don't know. Then became Think Like a Man, then Ride Along. Then he became a rock star, as they call him, the comedic rock star, man. And the thing about him that I love is that he speaks about himself. He doesn't have a problem opening up about himself. And that's what his comedy is really about. His comedy isn't really about others as more as is about himself. You know what I mean? And what his story is, and and all the funny that might be about what his life is. So I want to just give him his flowers for all that he's done, and he's opened up many doors because he launched his own network, the Laugh Out Loud Network, And I know, that's job after job for plenty of comedians. You understand what I'm saying? So where comedy was maybe 20 years ago, where they might have been one, maybe two, top comedians. Right now, you got him, you got Kevin Hart, you got Dave Chappelle, you still got Chris Rock, even though he took that little slap. But listen, if he the kind of comedian that I think he is, trust me, he gonna come back from that. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? If he the kind of comedian I think he is. So shout out to Kevin Hart, comedic rock star. Salute to you, brother. And I'm going to turn the table over to my brother Zakaria. Clean it up, brother. Who you
yeah.
got?
This week, I'm giving flowers to um, a true hustler at heart, and going along right along with the theme of the show, um, Percy. What's his middle name? Percy Miller. I forget his middle name here now. Otherwise known to the public as Master P. We all know him. He started out as a rapper and ended up being one of the industry's most respected and successful businessmen. Um, he entered the rap game in the 90s. He dropped a few albums, and his first album sold out of the trunk of his car. And he basically, um, let's see, he used a record store to scope out sales and trends in the hip hop industry. And he ended up selling over 250,000 copies of the Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me album in 1995. And that's like unheard of to do by yourself. I don't know if anybody knows how hard it is to sell records on your own, but 250,000 copies today is like selling over 5 mil with a record label. So he did that without a label. Then he actually got signed to a contract with Priority in 1996, and came out with Ice Cream Man. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard charts. And at that time, 1997, he had built No Limit Records into one of the biggest record companies in the music industry. And what I really love about Master P is that every single rapper that he signed became platinum or multi-platinum artists. And he has this phrase where he breeds bosses because he doesn't like people working for him. So he gave each one of his artists that were signed to No Limit the masters rights to ownership of the masters of their music, which no record label does, right? Because that's how they hold, to get a hold of all your earnings. So at that time, he also signed Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg admits that Master P turned him into the businessman mogul that he is today. He mentored a lot of what we know are going to become business legends and rap legends, including Nipsey Hussle, who I brought up a couple weeks back. Also, Ice Cube, who I brought a couple weeks back, mentions that Master P is probably one of the best businessmen he's ever run across.
Mm-hmm.
So this man, just to let you know, he owns 45 different companies, a couple community centers in his hometown of New Orleans. He has over 31 properties, and some of those are commercial buildings. And some of those are also real estate housing units for people within his community. And he also has over, 20 something movies that he's produced and starred in. So, I mean, this guy took, his rap career and went to another level. He's a true to heart hustler and entrepreneur of our time.
Wow. Shout out to Master P, man. Shout out to Master P, Kevin Hart. Shout out to Billy D. Williams. They all have been making our ancestors proud, continue to make our ancestors proud, because Billy D. Williams has made his appearance back in the Star Wars world recently, revisiting his role as Lindo. Master P continues to be the hustler that he is, and Kevin Hart is like I mean, he got to be the hardest working comedian in the game right now.
Yeah, Chris Rock said he every time he turned around, he lose a job to Kevin Hart.
Yeah, and who doesn't? You know what I mean? Shoot, we might have lost jobs at Kevin Hart. You know what I'm saying? He might swoop down and took some of our jobs. You know what I'm saying? Listen, that's a hustler for real,
For real.
But what we're going to do is we're going to go to our next segment. There's a segment that we've grown to love because of the fact that it extends beyond just our minds. You know what I mean? It deals with the world, right? It deals with everything that's going on in the world. And it's called our current event segment. All right. And I'm going to choose between a lot of, because we got a few topics. We always have a few topics that we might be like, okay, we're going to talk about this, we might talk about that, or what have you. Today, what we're going to talk about California votes to limit reparations to descendants of enslaved Africans. Oh man, Sean Don talking about my Knicks. All right, so since it's current events, so we can talk about the Knicks. The Knicks is officially out of the playoffs. They officially suck and all that other good stuff. But right now, the young men look good. You know, the Nets ain't going nowhere, so I'm not worried about that. So that's the current event about sports. All right. So since
gunshots. You mentioned the Nets, and I ain't hear no gunshots.
yeah,
Well, they still got to make the playoffs first, so there ain't no gunshots to be made.
Yeah. Joe, y'all sitting in the playoffs, right? Indianapolis, they're not sitting in the playoffs.
We got a worse record than the Knicks, so I don't even talk about it. I'll save them, and we'll go back in November and see what happens.
All right, I guess so. So can we get to the regular topic at hand, Sean? Since you wanted to bring up the Knicks, all right, Knicks gonna make it. All right, whatever. Whatever. Why? Look. Why I order? Why I order? All right. So this goes twofold. California votes to limit reparations to descendants of enslaved Africans. Joe, you brought this topic up. What are we talking about here? What's going on here? I read about it, and it doesn't look good for nobody.
Well, the reason why, because I think they're the first in-nation task force on reparations to decide to limit the state compensation to the descendants of free and enslaved people who were in the U.S. in the 19th century, narrowly projecting a proposal to include all Black people regardless of lineage. So pretty much, and those who understand the history of the United States, California was one of the last states in the country that a lot of people moved to because of the gold rush in the 1860s.
Right.
So African influence, however, from a lot of history majors and a lot of people who could tell you the story, California, San Francisco specifically, is responsible for a lot of the trends that we have in this country because they didn't go to a lot of Jim Crow and enslavement things that we did in the South and even up here in the North. So when you're talking about an area like the Harlem Renaissance or talking about things in the South, California had that 15 years prior to when New York had it.
Okay.
So,
go ahead, I'm listening.
So a lot of people don't understand something like California. So I guess you can also.
I got a question here. Hold on, give me 1 second. I got a question real quick. When they say limit reparations, what does that exactly mean? When they say limit reparations, were they given reparations in the first place?
I don't think so. What it is maybe there's a loophole that was found in regards to them being able to give them reparations, but now you have to prove more to prove your American citizenship, to prove that your family was here. And that's when you're limiting somebody of reparations, you're saying, oh, well, you have to do all of these requirements and things to prove that you are an American citizen.
Well, regardless
of your lineage and your
born here. If you're born here, doesn't that constitute making you a citizen?
It should. And that should be the only standard bearer. But I think they're banking on the fact that our cultures are so mixed and diverse nowadays. It's hard to prove that. Something you can't prove your lineage or whatnot. You can be from here, but you have to have ancestors who are from here as well.
Is it a factor that because it's been so many years since the slave trade that there have been immigrants, like let's say from the Caribbean, that they're not counting as part of our deserving reparations?
Absolutely. I mean, let me put it to you this way. Why are we given so much of a hard time when it comes to understanding our Native American ancestry?
Yeah.
A lot of us have Native American ancestry in us, but it turns out they don't want to point that as us being, because Native Americans have access to reparations. If you're able to prove
Right.
that you're Native
Right.
American, you can have access to it, but it's much harder because now the numbers are much smaller because of so much breeding in
But
between
then,
that
all
time.
right. But then this next article, that speaks to the Native American tribes getting its land back after being displaced nearly 400 years ago.
Show
So
that me.
yeah, yeah. Hold on, we're gonna get to that too. Do you know what I mean? We're definitely gonna get to that. So
Okay.
that speaks to the next article. The Native American tribes get their land back after being displaced nearly 400 years ago. Is it meaningful? Sure, because at the end of the day, they're getting something. Like Joe just said, they're getting something. They're getting acknowledgement that there's some type of reparations given back because there's nothing been given back to us. I mean, talking about 400 years ago. Listen, we were slaves. What, 200?
Yeah, I don't know nobody that got anything.
We was, what I mean. So at the end of the day, I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm not going to even speak on it because I think they should be paying both. They should be paying the indigenous people that were here and the enslaved Africans that came across against their will.
So
So
Well, the reason why I brought that stuff up to begin with was because of some comments that the current president, made in regards
yeah,
to
I heard
reparations.
about that.
right, can we go to that video? Or do we have that video? Can we see that video? Because he did speak to something about the reparations.
Well,
And that's what we're leading to. The Biden's recent comments on the reparations. Somebody had shared something on Instagram about it.
it was in the chat, I believe.
No, I saw it. And the caption is Joe Biden said he would only support reparations for African Americans if it include Native Americans. He does not support reparation.
Yeah, I don't. That's just like you said, trying to find another loophole, right? Not to give reparations at the same time. What Joe was saying, it's hard enough to prove as it is because of everybody interbreeding and the diluted of the genes, right?
Well,
Family.
to me, they always find a way. They always find a way to not to. They always find a way to not show us. To not do right by us. You know what I mean? Or to directly acknowledge they've been doing us wrong. Because if they directly acknowledge it as a singular thing, then they would have to acknowledge they've done all of these treacherous things that's been said, right? So now,
Exactly.
if they couple us up with a bunch of other issues and situations and problems, then all of a sudden it become a thing of humanity. You know what I mean? A worldwide, situation,
Right.
and we got to stop. We got to stop allowing for that to be the case. That's one. You know what I mean?
There's,
Go ahead.
there's a show online called the Young Turks. I don't know if y'all familiar with it.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
And the host, I forget his name, the more popular host of the show, he mentioned one time how there was some article came up with his white people was basically making reference to calling blacks animals from something that happened in the news, right? And he was like, "How dare you? You guys committed some of the most heinous crimes in history of the world." You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Where we're talking about, things that when you speak about it makes you cringe, it makes your hair stand up, killing
Right.
babies and raping women and murdering took the land from not only this people but then brought another people over here and basically obliterated an entire history, rewrote it, whitewashed it, and the process of that was just insane. Like if we was to really learn about that in history books, man.
But I mean, honestly, I mean, shoot, we do know a lot of it, and that's the reason why this show exists. We know, I mean, the treachery, the list of this treachery is long. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's neither here nor there. But that goes to, let's go to a little more positive place. You know what I mean? We can always talk about this whole American.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go to a little more positive place. And shout out to Sister Brown, Judge Brown. Okay, not
Supreme Court Justice
the
Brown.
Supreme Court Justice Brown. Okay, the Senate confirmed her. All right, and that is a big thing, man. That is a big thing. And I don't know, Joe. Is your allergies going to allow you to speak to this a little bit, or what?
It will. It
Okay.
will. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Yes, it is a point in regards to diversity, in regards to seeing multicolored people on the stand. However, You keep giving us crumbs and we deserve loaves of bread.
Okay.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, her appointment wasn't because it's something that they said, oh, let's diversify the court. There's obviously some reasoning behind that, you know, and I don't feel comfortable, not with her, but with how the system is making her seem. I mean, we saw the verbal lynching that she received during the appointments, right? We saw how bad it was.
Right.
Do you really need to prove all of that? She has more credentials than almost every other justice up there.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
Oh yeah.
And then some, double. Yeah. And she has to prove that she's viable to becoming a U.S. Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Some of the white Supreme Court justices on that list, when there was I think you shared that, Joe, was sort of a chart that showed all of their credentials and where they went to school. Some of them had never even went to
somebody didn't graduate college. I mean, graduate high school somehow.
College. Some of them didn't even go to college.
Right. Like she checked off every box that's qualified to be a Supreme Court justice. She was the only one. Nobody else came close. And that just goes to show how this system is. The struggle. She has to work twice as hard to be just at level to where these other people
are. We're not going to applaud the tokenism, is what you're saying. That's what you're not doing.
I mean, it's an accomplishment for her because, like I said, we're diversifying the court. That should be acknowledged. However, it's not, the intentions is not pure. The intentions don't sit right with me because there's an agenda behind it. And trust me, we're gonna find out what that is sooner than later. But there's an agenda behind it, and that's why that's why I'm like really bittersweet about this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Zakari, you got anything to say about sis?
Nah, I believe. I mean, congratulations to her. You know, number one. But I believe the same thing Joe said. There's always a bigger agenda at hand, and they don't do stuff like that because they really are looking to diversify, you know, the seats.
So let's go into a little more positivity, right? You know, we said positivity, right? So let's finish out our current events segment with this little tidbit of positivity. We have a single black dad out there, and he says he will encourage his son to pursue entrepreneurship instead of college.
Yep. Same here.
I'm going to salute that. I clap that out. Now, I've had discussions with people, educators, and you know, there are those who feel real strong about kids still pursuing their education, you know, other than trade or even just hustling, right? But I'm so for, you know, encouraging, because encouragement doesn't mean that I'm not encouraging him to get his education as well. You understand what I'm saying? Encouraging him to pursue entrepreneurship is encouraging him to listen, try to get on doing this before you even get locked into that. You know what I mean?
Be your own boss someday.
Huh?
Be your own boss someday.
Right. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't have
through the system. That's cool, but don't become a robot.
Right. I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with this mentality, because I actually have a problem when people push for the college instead of giving them the option to say, okay, be your own boss or even go to a trade school.
That's right.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Well, we'll go a little more into this our topic, you know, at the end of our topic, but I just want to say our ancestors didn't have college degrees.
No.
Most of them had trade school.
Good point.
Or they went into a service which made them work, or they were business people, farm workers, grocers, you know, things of that nature. You know, they weren't in college. So the fact that they need college, or they're being pushed to say that, oh, you need to get college in order to succeed in life, you know.
A lot of the people we talk about on the paying homage section are self-educated, you know, and they made history. You know what I'm saying? It makes
right. Because I mean, neither one of them. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
You know, I mean, I personally can say I learned more through self-education than what I learned in school.
Well, we're going to speak to that in the next segment, which is our topic of the day. You know, the topic of the day, of course, is the heart of the hustle. Putting your heart in the hustle, okay? putting your heart in the hustle. It is extremely tiring, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And with that, we're going to have a word from the Evening Rush Network.
Oh, we answer that question when we get back.
Yes.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
We are back. We are back. We are back. Okay. All right. Sponsored by none other than Baller, baller.org. That is BAL.org. That is part of my heart. That is part of my hustle. That is part of what I'm doing. We're going to talk about that place right there, something near and dear to me. We are on Instagram at PluggedMJ. We are on Instagram at PluggedMJ. We are also on YouTube and all of them other platforms. Spotify. What else? What else we on?
Hart Radio, Anchor.fm,
Pandora, all of those places. All right, yeah. It's so many platforms, and I'm humbled to be able to be on any one of them and to be in anybody's ear. Like I said, you think that 1.6 thousand is 1.6 million, but I'm humble enough just to get that many people to listen to the content that we're bringing, because it's not your average content, it's not your normal content. We ain't sitting here talking about a bunch of fat behinds and all that other stuff and the latest Cardi B story or what have you. We're sitting here trying to make you think, you know what I mean? And in doing so, we're going to get to our topic of the day. Putting your heart. Oh no, there's a question that came up, and we're gonna go back a little bit, right? We're gonna go back because it's all about the hustle, right? So still go with the topic of the day, putting your heart in the hustle, right? And the question came from our producer Jada John. Said, "So our ancestors not having gone to college mean we shouldn't?" And that's part of the hustle, meaning saying, because we said our ancestors did not necessarily go to college. You know what I mean? They was out there striving and making it happen. So does that mean we shouldn't? I don't believe so. I don't believe that it means that none of us should. I believe that it should be a balance into what is taught to our kids in a matter of survival. I think this country has got our kids wrapped around their system too much, to where we're not looking at the bigger picture when it comes down to learning a trade, or when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're your own boss. When you learn a trade, you're actually learning something else besides what's in them books, which is their system of doing things. You know what I mean? So I guess we should have a balance to where we know what's going on in their system and be able to do something with our hands or our mind, or even, with our imagination. That's my take.
Yeah, can I give my little 2 cents on this?
Yes.
Of course.
So I think there's pros and cons to both, to go into school, you know what I'm saying, and getting a higher education. I just think that, for a free thinker, for somebody that is, learned what they could out of school, but also knows there's way much more to learn in the world and has not become, a sheep, a robot. That's is a great benefit to go to school and get a higher education, because at some point you get to choose what you're going to study, right? And I think if we look at countries like Finland, Japan, I believe there's a few others. There's a school, an education model that they've adapted where the kids go to school, and at age 8, they allow the kid to pick what they're interested in. And they gear the kids' education towards that subject or that industry. You know what I mean? Where he's going to learn, if he likes architecture, he's going to go to school for architecture and learn everything that he needs to know for architecture, including math that he needs to know, and all of the necessary tools to be the best architect. If you look at that movie, The Last Samurai, that's actually true in Japanese culture, where whatever someone wants to study, their family pushes them at that from a young age. And that's what they do from sun up to sundown every day. And they learn to be the best farmer, the best samurai, the best, stitcher of garments, whatever it is. And so this way, it goes along more with how people learn, because everybody doesn't learn the same. right? So some of us learn through books, some of us learn visually, some people learn.
So, but that goes to what the right ad wrote in about the fact about college and such, because I believe the college angle is a hustle in itself as well. See,
Yeah,
some people don't look at getting those degrees as a hustle. That's a hustle. You have to move and groove them, and
what's the benefit for some people in the Black community, for example, that come to get these degrees because they want to have access to these higher paying jobs, to these quote unquote jobs that they thought would not have a ceiling, just to get into corporate America, to find out that you have a ceiling lower than everybody else that has the same qualifications of you. It's not the same color as you are.
You shouldn't have to struggle after getting the degree that you're supposed to get for the high paying job. People who are making six figures having to pay back student loans for 8 to 10 years of extra education. That's a hustle within itself. You know what I mean? And it's not fair, because you're going to school to avoid all of that, but you end up in that system.
And over 20 years to pay off those loans.
Yeah, it says, someone wrote in, that is also because we aren't creating opportunities in our community, and that is true, and that's the reason why we're putting our heart in our hustle, and that goes to our top.
That's why we need people like Jada with that college education to create those opportunities.
Right, and she's in the community. She's doing what she needs to do. And when we say putting your heart in the hustle, when I say putting my heart in the hustle, what does that mean for you, Zakaria? Like, when you say put your heart in the hustle, what matter of fact, where do you get your hustle from?
Oh man, well, you get your hustle from your drive, from your passion, and in my experience, it comes from hardships in life, of not seeing yourself as getting to that plateau where you no longer have to struggle. You know, the greatest hustlers went through the most the most hardship and the hardest struggles in life. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that passion and that drive, that true hustle, comes from being at the lowest point. You know, that's what we were talking about. Master P, he said he remembers when it was a house full but no food in the refrigerator and nobody in the house for a job. He said he couldn't find one, so he created his own.
All right, just want to give a shout out to Brooklyn Brown Table, Miss Puss over there. You know what I mean? Sean, Don, Jada, all of them that's writing in. Shout out to all you guys. Good evening and blessings to all of you. Appreciate y'all for chiming in. Joe, same question to you, brother. Where did you get your hustle from?
The struggle of having to stay above water. My hustle was making sure that I had food in my house, making sure that I had the funds to pay my bills. I think it's because of where we are in our lives, we are forced to struggle because there's not a level playing field for most. And the struggle is, the hustle is every day making sure you have enough energy to go through what you're going through to stay above water, to equal balance. Now, if you get above that in life, you have passed the struggle. You can celebrate. And a lot of us feel that we do that when we get paid, if we have a little bit of money in our bank accounts, whatever the case may be. But the fact that we even have to hustle that hard, that's a testament to the injustice, how unfair things are.
So there's two things, right? All right. So it's when you say putting your heart in the hustle, right? It's what we have to do as men, as Black men. You know what I mean? And my light skinned brother right there. You understand what I'm saying? Like as this is what we have to do, right? In order to get ahead, because remember, we said we have to work that much harder. We have to be that much. You know what I mean? We have to grind that much more. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Yes, indeed. You know what I mean? And where do I get my hustle from? And that's where I wanted you guys to start to give me an origin story to that hustle of yours. And my origin comes from my father. I learned the hustle from my father. My father was one of the hardest hustlers out there you could think of. Came from Panama with a phone number and $50. That was his story. You understand what I'm saying? And became a millionaire in his lifetime. I know he was, you know what I mean, just because of the numbers. That's how the numbers added up.
That's
you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's how the numbers added up. So, I watched him and watched him closely. I used to mimic everything about him, to the way he walked, to the way he talked, to the everything about him, because he was just, like I said, he was just always on the grind, and I really appreciate that about him. So when I talk about where I found the hustle, and when I found where the heart of the hustle came from, I found it from my father first and foremost. You know, understand what I'm saying? So when we come back around, y'all going to speak to that the same way. But what I want to talk about real quick is, what is your hustle? Like, what is what is you putting your heart into right now? Right now, Joe, what you putting your heart into right now?
I'm putting my heart into my tourism business. That's my hustle, if you want to call it that. It's my business because I'm an entrepreneur, but that's my hustle, getting it off the ground, getting noticed, getting people to understand, hey, you have a Black man out here that can actually teach what other cultures do, and probably better. I say it in humbleness, but I say it, that's the energy I have to have in order to show that I'm legit, or to show that I'm real.
Right.
And that's where it's disappointing, because I have to have that energy. I should be able to walk to the table just like anybody else and say, hey, I'm here. I have something to share, as opposed to being questioned about my capabilities. If I'm a history major, if I'm licensed, all those type of things. You know, there's so many roadblocks that's put in front of you. And I'm speaking from my experiences, particularly, in order to do that. But I just keep knocking them out. Bam, I got this. Bam, I passed this exam. Pants, I did this. And it just makes me, I guess, more qualified in the eyes of the anointing, of the anointers, you know?
Zakaria.
Yeah. So about 7 going on 8 years ago. Oh man. 1 second.
So no problem. Putting my heart in the hustle.
That's right. But that boy hustling.
Yeah, he hustling right now. Don't worry, he hustling now. Listen, that's how real it is, man. That's how real it is.
So okay, back to about 7 going on 8 years ago, I co-founded a marketing company called Innovative Ideas Marketing Solutions. In the beginning, it was a roller coaster ride, but we did very well. We started off with 4 partners, and about 3 months in, 2 of our partners left to get jobs with, big companies like Yahoo and over here it's not called Con Ed, it's called Edison. So it was only 2 of us, and we struggled, and we started making things happen. It went very well, and then there was a lot of other things going on my plate and his place, so we ended up putting the business on hold for a little bit to the side. I got other gigs, he got other gigs. And before I knew it, I was, working at Herzvek Group. You know Robert Herzvek from Shark Tank? Well,
yes, I heard of him.
He's got one of the largest cybersecurity firms in the world. I landed my first SaaS sales job there, and I learned a ton in the short time I was there. But when I left, I still felt like I needed to learn more. And so I feel like self-development became a huge part of what I was learning, who I wanted to become. Because eventually I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Before I started that business, I was in pushing my own music, for 10 years. I made it to the radio. I did songs with big artists, but the point is that's a whole mindset of itself. And I think the biggest aspect of being a successful entrepreneur is the mindset that you're just determined to make it happen no matter what, and do whatever it takes. I think the steps involved, I still struggle with this today. I'm gonna be totally transparent here. I still struggle with mapping out every step it takes to get to the goal. And so, my thing is now, there's a saying, if you hang around 5 millionaires, you're bound to be the 6th. So my thing is now I'm trying to build my network to be around the people that is doing what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? And
right.
There's a mentality you have to get there. You have to write things down. You have to plan your step by step to get to where you want to go. You have to have goals mapped out, not only for 3, 6 a year, but 2 to 5, 10 years down the line. And I think these are important to let people know within the community that have big aspirations, because not everyone gets taught that not everyone has that mentorship, and we find it on our own by bumping our head. And remember this last thing I'm gonna say: failure is only failure when you give up.
and you don't try,
Other
right?
than that, it's all learning. It's all mistakes are learning lessons. That's all it is. No such thing as failure unless you give up.
Mm-hmm. And putting your heart in the hustle, man. That listen, that they're giving you examples on where their drive is and where they're driven at. And I'm gonna tell you where my heart at. My heart and where the hustle is for me is it's my everyday life. It's everything that I'm involved in. It's my family. It's baller. It's plugged. It's my little semi, background work and all this other stuff. What else? Corner Cubbage, co-own a little pop-up restaurant. um the thing about putting my heart in the hustle is the matter is that we have to put so much into it. We have to do it because everything is against us, and time is always against us. You know what I mean? Because listen, I live in Brooklyn, New York, man. Listen, there's no guarantee I walk to the store and come back. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I don't have time to be sitting here wasting away talking about, oh, I'm dreaming. You understand what I'm saying? No, I got to hustle. I got to, yeah, exactly. The fact that nothing is given and you got to go hard to get it, yeah, that's what should fuel your passion. You know what I mean? And listen, I hope that people that listen to this show or listen to this podcast get some inspiration to go out there and do anything, because 3 years ago, I did not see anything that's going on in my life happening at the moment. You understand what I'm saying? It just became a drive, and it became a partnership. Like Zakaria spoke on, he spoke on surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are driven, people that have the same fire, that same desire, people that know how to get stuff done, people that are goal driven, like one of our writers wrote in. You got to be goal oriented. You know what I mean? That's not me. I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I'm a dude that, listen, I can see everything that's happening before it might happen, just because I just put it all together. I just put it in my mind, and it just, it computes. But what happens is, if you know your limitations, then you're going to bring around a Joe, right? And then if you know your limitations there, then you're going to bring around a Zakaria, and then you have a well-oiled machine such as our show. You know what I mean? So when you put your heart in it, listen, trust me, nothing else really matters, because your heart is your most essential part of your body, right? Without it, you don't live. You understand what I'm saying? You could be brain dead. You know what I mean? You could be brain dead. That heart don't go. Listen, that heart don't move, you're gone. You know what I mean? So when you put that into something, man, listen, that's meaningful. You know what I mean? So the next question I want to ask you guys, man, and this is just real quick, you know what I mean? Speak to it real quickly, because I have a few questions, because I want people to understand the totality of everything that we're doing. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm doing Big Apple Leadership Academy for the Arts, which is a nonprofit organization for the youth. You know what I mean? Trying to get free programming. We're trying to get trying to get funded, put on shows, do all these great things. You know what I mean? I could go on and on and on, because that's where my heart at. That's where the hustle at, because that's what hustling is. You have a bunch of things on the plate. You know what I mean? You don't stop. You know what I mean? But what is the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur?
Oh man, well, that nobody believes in your vision. Nobody's riding with you until you actually start to see improve results. The hardest thing that an entrepreneur has to deal with is that when you decide you're no longer working the 9 to 5, and you got to put in that full-time effort into being an entrepreneur. Now you're in this position where you have to make things happen, and when things start off to a slow start, or it goes up and then back down again, because that's the way business is. It's up and down, and there's things that we need to learn to get it to be steady. In that journey, there's going to be a lot of people say, man, why don't you just give up, man? I told you, man, this is not working.
Even yourself,
you got to do for yourself. And it makes it even worse when you don't have nobody, maybe except for you, that you have to fuel, that fuels you and gives you that belief in yourself that you could actually make it happen.
Okay. Joe, hardest thing about being an entrepreneur for you, bro?
The hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is the day to day. Like Zakaria said, going through the wins and the wishes of what's going to happen in your life. Like you said, having to support yourself, knowing that if you take this risk or make this choice in your life, it could either make you or break you. There's no insurance there. So you have to be, so that I believe is the hardest thing. Once you have that confidence in yourself that you're available to do it or you're able to do it, That's makes it a little easier. But making that strong choice that this is what your life is, this is what your passion is, this is what's going to happen. Like you said, forget the naysayers, forget the Debbie Downers, forget the crabs in a barrel, forget all that stuff, and just go about your business and do what you got to do. But that's the hardest part about it, just ignoring all of that, because there's going to be a lot of noise until they actually see that, oh, you're succeeding, or you're thriving, or you're doing more what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, now you want to jump on board with me.
Right. No bandwagoners.
Yeah.
Nah, listen, we're not that kind of guys, man. It's going to be a bunch of bandwagoners and our door going to be wide open, man. But I'm going to tell you the funny part. Yeah, listen, that's who we are, right?
That's right.
Right? It said there aren't enough hours in the day. That's the reason why I try to use all 24. You know what I mean? But the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is just that, right? It said it's either making you or breaking you. And I say, if you put in your heart in it, man, it's either going to make you or make you. It's not. It's breaking you is not a choice. You
and
know
that's
what I mean?
the mindset. That's the mindset.
Yeah. Breaking you is not a choice, because it said if you're going to go out there on the ledge and do it, it's either going to make you, be as successful as you went out there to be. Like whatever you imagine yourself to be, as successful as you're going to try to be, you're there. You know what I mean? You made it. Or it's going to make you stronger in your journey. That's where the make you and make you is. It can't break you. If you allow it to break you, then you wasn't in there with the right mindset at all. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying, Joe? You wasn't in there with the right mindset at all if you would allow it to break you, because it's all, remember, everything that we do is a lesson for the next thing to come. You know what I mean? We're all sitting in all our totality right now because of all of the pain we've been through already. I'm not here with you, Zakari. I'm not here with you, Joe, without the pain already been through. So that's the reason why this topic is so strong, because they're putting your heart in the hustle. Meaning, listen, it's either going to make you where what you've envisioned yourself to be, or it's going to make you stronger to get where you want to go. You know what I mean? Just keep on going, man. And that's one of the, so one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur, I know I went on a little tangent there, is like you guys said, and I'm not going to go too long on it, is the fact that lack of support. You know what I mean? The hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, a black entrepreneur, let me get it right. Hold on, sorry. A black entrepreneur. Because I don't think everybody has these problems when you're other shades and such like that. But a black entrepreneur, the hardest thing is getting the support from your own people, mind you.
Must be a black entrepreneur then.
Well, you are in a sense, man. You chose. Listen, you chose your shade. You chose your shade, brother. You chose your shade, right? All right. So, the question said, what makes the hustle hard? Nah, let's go. We were talking about the passion. I would say, someone said, you must love what you do, have passion for it, and then it never becomes work. Exactly. Very good point. Very great point. I really appreciate that point.
Can I share a quick excerpt from y'all familiar with Eric Thomas?
Yeah.
So he tells a story about a guy that finds a mentor, a successful millionaire, and he goes to his office and he says, "Hey, look, man, what do I have to do? I want to be just like you." He says, "All right, well, come to the office tomorrow and let's get started. I'll start mentoring you." He says, "All right, cool." The guy shows up in a suit. The office is right across the street from the beach. He goes to the office. The guy's not there. He calls him. He said, "Where you at?" He said, "I'm on the beach. Turn around. Take your shoes off. Walk onto the sand." He goes onto the sand. The guy says, "All right, well, hey, look, he's waving. He's in the water." He says, "Come on down here." He said, "Come on, man. I thought we were supposed to meet and talk about." He says, "Yeah, just come over here first." So the guy's in his suit. He takes off his pants. His shorts and his socks and his shoes. And he rolls up his pants. He don't want to mess up his suit. He gets in at his feet. He says, "No, come in a little further." He said, "Nah, man." He said, "You want to learn how to be a millionaire, right?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, well, come in a little further." He makes the guy walk up to his waist. He says, "Nah, now come in a little further." He says, "Come on, man. You're pulling my leg, man. I'm trying to, I want to learn. I'm not here for this. I want to learn how to be a millionaire." He said, "All right, well, if you want to learn, you got to do this first." He said, "All right." He walks in. He's up to his chest now in his suit in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs the top of his head and he pushes him underwater, holds him underwater. He's drowning him, basically. The dude's gasping for air. He's hitting him underwater, but he's not letting him go. He's stronger than him, so he's holding him down. The guy lets go of him, finally gets up, and he's gasping for air. He said, "You crazy, man? Were you crazy?" He says, "What did you want when you was underwater?" He said, what are you talking about, man? He said, what did you want when you was underwater? He said, I want to breathe, man. He said, that's how bad you got to want to be a millionaire or it's never going to happen. He said, first lesson for the day, go back and we'll talk again tomorrow.
Putting your heart in the hustle, ladies and gentlemen. Putting your heart in the hustle.
You want to breathe.
Yeah, man. Listen, and it's not I mean, being a millionaire would be great, of course, why not, right? But I actually just want this show to reach minds beyond our wildest imaginations. I want my program to touch kids and the world, in a sense, you know what I mean, in a way where it creates a wave of changes throughout generations. You understand what I'm saying? Legacy building is what we do over here, because
money is not the ultimate goal in the hustle.
What's your goal? What's your goal, Joe? What's your ultimate goal, man? What you want to see, man?
I want people to learn where they come from. I want them to learn about where they are, and I want them to teach the future about where they are and what came from them. Mm-hmm. That's my overall goal. I want them to be in place with themselves and have their comfort, not content, but comfortable with where they are in their lives, and succeed that way. Because there's nothing wrong with where you are in your life. It's about what you're doing, or won't say how hard, but how intent are you to succeed at where you are. Okay. And I think the hustle is wanting more, or wanting to do better, or wanting to do more and do better. But it's not necessarily, the hustle doesn't mean to do more or better. The hustle means to do what you need to do to get to where you want to be.
Right.
That's the hustle. The hustle is anything that you need, like Zakaria said, anything that you need to do to get to where you are, or get to where you want to be in your life. We don't know what that is. That's the fun part about a struggle, to be honest with you. Not all hustles are bad. A lot of hustles are good, because you find yourself, you learn about yourself during those hustles, and what you're capable of doing, and what you can and cannot do, and what you need support. So
indeed. So, Zakaria, I need you, real quick before we close out. What are you looking forward to in your journey?
I think everything that I'm doing now is partly what Joe said. Like you mentioned something like that too within our time, that everything you do leads you to the next step of where you're trying to go, and it's all like pieces to a puzzle. And I don't think I'm really doing what my true purpose is, other than this show. But in my own entrepreneurial endeavors, I think it's not where I'm gonna end up. I think each is a step to help me gain the platform that I'm trying to get to, and the access to people that I need to spread the message that I want to spread. And there's a lot along the same lines of what Joe was talking about. I have this which was going to start out as a clothing line, mainly T-shirts, and it's called Mindset. And it's not only the mindset of being an entrepreneur, but a free thinker. And in that, you have to get right access to the right information, and really for us to find out who we really are as people, as the human race, and especially, in the Black community or the indigenous people of the country, where it's been stripped from you.
The hustler and me I want in on that one with mindset. It's right there.
And so I think at the end of the day, that's where I'm going to lead, along those lines. And whether it will be, speaking publicly or writing of some online material or some books, I think that's going to be my footprint that I'm looking to leave behind at the end of life.
Okay. Legacy building is what we try to do over here. Legacy building is what we try to, teach our children. Legacy building is what we try to teach our community. That's what this is all about, putting your heart in the hustle. The hustle is all about the community. The hustle is about our kids. The hustle is about our families. I want to make a quick announcement. On the Evening Rush Network, we got a new show. Let's give a shout out for the new show on the network, Brooklyn of the Brown Table. That is Brooklyn of the Brown Table. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for being involved in our conversation. We shall return the favor and check what you got going on out over there at the Brown Table. All right, Brooklyn of the Brown Table. Shout out to you, my brother. All right. I hope everybody got a little something out of this, man. The people don't understand. Sometimes we have such a hectic week. I know I've been doing a lot. I know Joe's been doing a lot. I know Zakaria's been doing a lot. But we lock in almost like any one of them superhero cartoons or what have you, where you got a team and they might be doing other things, and then all of a sudden they get together and they understand the objective, and they get
Oh,
things.
my.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you guys, man. This was just for coming from the heart. You understand what I'm saying? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for the minds you have, because you're always ready. You understand what I'm saying? To be honest with you, listen, we did listen. Full disclosure, the show is over. We threw this together just today. You know what I'm saying? Just today. You know what I mean? But the thing is, we trust each other, and that's what trust is all about, and that's what the hustle is all about. Because when you love what you do, it's not work anymore. It comes naturally. This is what we do. You know what I mean? This is what Joe do. This is what Zakaria do. I salute you guys. Last words, you guys.
Yeah, back at you, brother. You're an inspiration to me. That's my life.
Yes, I appreciate you, Joe.
Another day, another chance to tell your story. Let's look forward to next week. We're gonna have some more in store for you.
Before we go, we need to promise one another. We're gonna talk to Sean on the outside, Jada, all of us. We're gonna make another day, another dollar, as they say in the hood, right? What we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to put the hustle into this show and get this knowledge out to the people, and make sure that these people get the necessary information that we're given. You know what I mean? It's here, it's for them. It's listen, it's free 99, just like a lot of other things in life. You know what I mean? And this one actually can help save them. So with that, listen, I just want to say I appreciate the Evening Rush Network. I appreciate you guys. Plug Mahli and Joe, the Mental Warriors. Peace.